The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that shook the air. Elena Vasquez walked forward, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Above her, thousands of alien beings sat in curved rows that stretched up to the ceiling. Their eyes, tentacles, sensors, and other strange body parts all focused on her. Elena wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's symbol on her shoulder. She looked small and weak compared to the giants around her. The Korath delegates were twice her size with thick armor covering their bodies. The Etherian representatives floated in glowing energy fields that hurt to look at. The crystal beings from Vex sparkled like living diamonds. She reached the center platform and stopped. A hologram appeared showing her face to every being in the chamber. Elena had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years. She had worked hard to make friends with alien races. She had signed trade deals and peace treaties. She thought she understood how the galaxy worked. She was wrong. The Council will hear the proposal from the Zelani Empire, announced Speaker Vorth. The massive creature had 4 arms and skin like rough stone. Its voice boomed through translation devices. Ambassador Kethvar of the Zelani stood up. He was tall and thin with silver skin that reflected the chamber lights. His people controlled 100 star systems and commanded the largest fleet in the galaxy. When he spoke, others listened. Honored Council, Kethvar began. We must discuss the human problem. These creatures have spread to 47 worlds in only 50 years. They reproduce quickly and adapt to any environment. Their ships travel through our space without proper respect for established powers. Elena felt her heart beating faster. This was not what she expected. Humans had followed every law and rule. They had been careful not to upset anyone. The humans claim to be peaceful, Kethvar continued, but their history shows different truths. They destroyed their own planet's environment. They fought wars that killed millions of their own kind. They created weapons that could turn their world into ash and dust. Murmurs filled the chamber. Elena heard words in dozens of alien languages. The translation devices in her ears whispered meanings. Dangerous, unstable, threat. We propose a solution, Kethvar said. The humans should be relocated to protected worlds where they can be watched and guided. Their dangerous nature can be controlled. Their useful traits can be directed for the good of all. Elena understood what those words really meant. Slavery. The Zelani wanted to make humans into servants and workers. She had seen it happen to other species. The protection was just a pretty word for prison. She pressed the button to request speaking time. A light appeared above her head. The human representative may speak, Speaker Vorth announced. Elena looked up at the thousands of faces watching her. Some looked curious. Many looked bored. A few looked hungry, like they were already planning how to use human slaves. Honored delegates, Elena said, her voice carrying through the chamber's speakers. I ask you to reconsider this proposal. Humans have been peaceful members of this community for 50 years. We have traded fairly. We have shared our knowledge. We have helped in times of crisis. Yes, Kethvar interrupted. You have been useful. That is exactly why you should be properly managed. Wild humans are unpredictable. Controlled humans can serve the galaxy better. Elena felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. We are not animals to be managed. We are thinking beings with rights and freedom. We have families and dreams and hopes just like all of you. A delegate from the Korath Dominion laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. Rights? You speak of rights? Your people killed each other for thousands of years. You poisoned your water and burned your forests. What rights did you give your own planet? Other voices joined in. Elena heard accusations and insults. The humans were too violent, too dangerous, too different. They needed to be controlled before they hurt someone. Please, Elena said louder, trying to speak over the noise. Please listen to me. You are making a terrible mistake. The chamber grew quiet. Elena felt the weight of their attention. I have lived among you for 5 years, she said. I have learned your languages and customs. I have tried to build bridges between our peoples. But you do not understand humans. You see our past and think you know our future. She paused, looking around the chamber. Humans are not the same species that fought those old wars. We learned from our mistakes. We grew beyond our violent past. We chose to become something better. Words, said the Vex delegate. Its crystal body rang like a bell when it spoke. All species claim to change. Few actually do. Your nature remains the same. Elena shook her head. You judge us by what we were, not by what we became. For 50 years humans have shown you peace. We could have built weapons. We could have taken worlds by force. Instead, we chose trade and friendship. Kethvar stood again. Because you were weak. Your ships are small and old. Your weapons are simple. Your technology is centuries behind ours. You chose peace because you had no choice. Elena felt something cold in her stomach. She thought about the messages from Earth, the worried voices of her government, the preparations they had mentioned but never explained clearly. I am warning you, Elena said, her voice carrying a new tone that made some delegates lean forward. Please do not do this. Please do not enrage them. You do not understand what you are awakening. Laughter filled the chamber, not just from one or two beings, but from hundreds. The sound echoed off the walls and ceiling. Threaten us? Kethvar asked with amusement. You have 47 small colonies and a handful of trade ships. We command fleets that darken the stars. What could humans possibly do to us? Elena closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about her brother Marcus, who worked for Earth Defense. She remembered his face when she left Earth, the sadness in his eyes, the way he hugged her goodbye and whispered, I hope they listen to you, Elena. I really hope they do. She opened her eyes and spoke again. I am begging you as a friend and ally. Do not vote for this proposal. Some things cannot be taken back once they are done. Some choices cannot be undone. But she could see it in their faces. Their minds were already made up. The humans were weak. The humans were useful. The humans would be controlled. The council will vote, Speaker Vorth announced. Elena watched as lights appeared throughout the chamber. Green for yes. Red for no. Blue for abstain. Green lights filled the air like stars. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. The red lights were few. Maybe 20 out of thousands. The proposal passes, Speaker Vorth declared. The Zelani Empire is authorized to relocate human populations for their protection and the stability of the galaxy. Elena stood in the center of the chamber as alien delegates filed out. Some looked satisfied. Others looked excited about the profits they would make from human labor. A few looked uncomfortable, but they said nothing. When the chamber was almost empty, Elena activated her personal communicator. The quantum signal would reach Earth in minutes. Control? This is Ambassador Vasquez, she said quietly. They voted. Yes. The Zelani will begin operations within the week. She paused, thinking about all the peaceful years, all the friendships she thought she had built, all the trust that had just been broken. They would not listen, she continued. I gave them the warning. They laughed. I am sorry. Elena took a deep breath. She thought about her childhood on Earth, the green hills and blue oceans, the cities full of people living quiet, happy lives, people who trusted her to protect them with words instead of weapons. Control, she said into the communicator. Protocol 7 is now authorized. Tell them we tried. She turned off the device and walked toward the chamber doors. Behind her, the empty seats seemed to watch her go. She had been Earth's voice of peace for 5 years. Tomorrow, Earth would speak with a different voice entirely. 3 months had passed since the vote. The galaxy watched as Zelani battle fleets moved toward human space like a slow storm. News reports showed the massive ships with their silver hulls and energy weapons that could crack planets. Military experts on a dozen worlds agreed that the humans would surrender quickly. Admiral Chen Wei sat in his chair deep below the surface of Earth. Around him, screens showed every human colony in the galaxy. Red dots marked where Zelani fleets were attacking. Blue dots showed human ships retreating. To anyone watching, it looked like a complete defeat. Chen knew better. Sir, said Lieutenant Torres, looking up from her console. We have reports from Kepler 442b. Captain Martinez is ready to begin the final phase. Chen nodded. He was a small man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had been planning this moment for 20 years. Every human in the defense forces knew about the plan. Every colonist had been prepared. Even the children knew what to do when the special signal came. Tell Martinez she has permission, Chen said, and send the same message to all colony commanders. It is time to wake up. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Captain Sarah Martinez received the message. She stood in the command center of what looked like a simple mining facility. Around her, men and women in work clothes operated computers and communication devices. To the Zelani ships above, they looked like scared miners trying to organize an evacuation. The truth was different. Martinez had been born on Earth but raised in space. She had trained in secret military facilities that officially did not exist. She spoke 4 alien languages and had studied Zilani battle tactics for 10 years. Like every human colonist, she was a soldier. "Attention all units," she said into her headset. "This is Phoenix Base. Begin Operation Sleeping Dragon. Repeat, begin Sleeping Dragon." Across the colony, humans who had been acting scared and helpless suddenly moved with military precision. The miners were special forces soldiers. The farmers were intelligence officers. The teachers were weapons specialists. In orbit above the planet, Zilani Commander Thekmol watched his scanners. The human ships were running away as expected. Their weapons were weak and their shields were failing. This would be the easiest conquest in Zilani history. "Commander," said his weapons officer, "the humans are sending some kind of signal. Very short burst, high energy." "Probably a distress call," Thekmol replied. "Let them cry for help. No one will come." He was wrong. The signal was not asking for help. It was giving coordinates. On the planet's surface, Martinez smiled as she watched her screens. "All teams, this is Phoenix. The targets are painted. Time to show them who we really are." The Zilani had studied human technology for months. They knew about human computers and engines and weapons. What they did not know was that humans had been studying them for 50 years. Every trade mission had carried hidden sensors. Every cultural exchange had included intelligence officers. Every diplomatic meeting had been recorded and analyzed. The humans had been watching and learning and planning. Martinez pressed a button. Around the planet, objects that looked like communication towers and mining equipment suddenly changed. Panels opened to reveal weapons that no human colony was supposed to have. Energy shields that used technology stolen from 3 different alien races activated around important buildings. "What is happening?" Thekmol demanded as his sensors detected the new signals. "Those weapons. How do they have Korath plasma cannons? How do they have Etherian shield generators?" His science officer looked confused. "Sir, the energy signatures are wrong. These weapons are more advanced than anything in our database." In the colony's underground bunkers, human engineers smiled as they activated devices they had spent decades perfecting. They had not just stolen alien technology. They had improved it. Martinez spoke into her communicator again. "All Phoenix units, you are cleared to engage. Show them what happens when you corner humans." The mining facility's roof opened like a flower. Inside, what the Zilani had thought was mining equipment revealed itself as the largest weapon they had ever seen. The cannon was built using principles from 6 different alien races combined in ways that no one had thought possible. It fired once. The beam of energy reached the Zilani flagship in less than a second. It passed through the ship's shields like they were not there. It cut through the hull like a knife through paper. The massive warship broke apart and exploded. "Impossible," Thekmol whispered from his command ship. Their scanners showed mining equipment. "Our intelligence report said they had no military technology." Martinez's voice came through the Zilani communication system. She spoke in perfect Zilani, with the accent of their home world. "Commander Thekmol, this is Captain Martinez, of the Terran Defense Force. You have 30 seconds to surrender your fleet and leave this system." "How do you know my name?" Thekmol demanded. "How do you speak our language?" "We know everything about you," Martinez replied. "We know your fleet strength, your weapon specifications, and your tactical preferences. We know you have a mate named Selakol and 3 children on your homeworld. We know you are afraid of deep water and that you collect ancient art." Thekmol felt ice in his veins. This was impossible. Humans were primitive. They were weak. They had simple technology and no intelligence network. "Your 30 seconds are over," Martinez said. The human colony erupted with weapons fire. Energy beams and missiles launched from hidden positions all over the planet. The Zilani fleet tried to fight back, but their enemies knew exactly where to hit them. Every shot struck a weak point in their armor. Every attack hit at the perfect moment when their shields were rotating frequencies. Thekmol watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had conquered 100 worlds were destroyed by colonists who were supposed to be simple farmers and miners. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Emergency jump to hyperspace." But the humans had thought of that too. Strange devices activated around the planet, creating an energy field that made hyperspace travel impossible. The Zilani fleet was trapped on Dion. The surface, Martinez walked out of her bunker and looked up at the sky. Burning Zilani ships fell like metal rain. She activated her communication device again. This is Phoenix Base to all Terran colonies, she said. Phase 1 complete. The enemy has seen our true face. Begin Phase 2. Let the galaxy know that humans are not the species they thought we were. Across human space, the message was received on 37 worlds. On each planet, colonists who had been pretending to be helpless civilians revealed their true nature. Mining equipment became weapons. Farms became military bases. Trading posts became intelligence centers. The galaxy had spent 50 years thinking humans were weak and peaceful. They had been wrong about both things. Admiral Chen sat in his command center and smiled as reports came in from every human world. The first phase of the plan was working perfectly. The galaxy thought they knew. Humans, they were about to learn the truth. On his main screen, a map showed the location of every major alien fleet and military base. Red lines connected them to human colonies and trade stations. For 50 years, humans had been placing themselves in perfect positions throughout the galaxy. The aliens had thought they were watching humans explore and settle new worlds. Actually, they had been watching humans choose their battlefields. Chen opened a communication channel to every human commander in the galaxy. This is Admiral Chen to all Terran forces. The galaxy wanted to see what humans could do when they were angry. Operation Sleeping Dragon is now fully active. Time to show them. He paused, thinking about Ambassador Vasquez and her warning to the Galactic Council. She had tried to save them from this moment. They had chosen not to listen. All units, Chen continued. You are authorized to use any and all methods necessary. The enemy wanted a war. Let us give them one they will never forget. In deep space, human ships that had been pretending to run away suddenly changed course. Their hulls opened to reveal weapons that should not have existed. Their engines showed power levels that their old designs could not produce. The galaxy was about to learn that humans had not been exploring space for 50 years. They had been preparing for war. Dr. Alexei Petrov activated the quantum transmitter and checked the signal strength. Perfect. His message would reach every corner of the galaxy within minutes. He had waited 50 years for this moment. The research station around him looked damaged and abandoned. Scorch marks covered the walls and broken equipment floated in the zero gravity. To any alien scanner, Station Echo 7 had been destroyed in the first Zelani attack 3 months ago. That was exactly what Petrov wanted them to think. He adjusted his gray beard and looked into the camera. Behind him, dozens of humans in white coats worked at computers and control panels. They were not researchers anymore. Today, they were the voice of humanity's real purpose in the galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy, Petrov began, speaking in the common language used by all civilized worlds. My name is Dr. Alexei Petrov. I am broadcasting from Research Station Echo 7, which your intelligence reports say was destroyed. This is the first of many lies you have believed about humanity. On 10,000 worlds, beings stopped what they were doing to listen. The transmission was coming through on every frequency, using communication methods that only the most advanced species possessed. How did humans have such technology? Petrov smiled, knowing what they were thinking. You are wondering how we can send this message, how we survived your attacks, how we possessed weapons that your greatest scientists said were impossible. The answer is simple. You never understood what humanity really was. He walked to a wall covered with star charts and alien writing. 50 years ago, humans entered galactic civilization. You saw primitive ships and simple technology. You assumed we were a young, weak species that needed your guidance and protection. The camera followed him as he moved to another wall covered with photographs. Pictures of human diplomats shaking hands with alien leaders. Human traders loading cargo in alien ports. Human scientists working in alien laboratories. You welcomed us because we seemed harmless, Petrov continued. We were curious about your cultures. We were eager to trade. We asked many questions and seemed grateful for your answers. You thought this made us good neighbors. He paused and looked directly into the camera. You were wrong. We were not being good neighbors. We were studying you. On the Korath homeworld, General Vashtor watched the broadcast with growing concern. Around him, his staff officers looked confused and worried. This was not the behavior of a defeated species. Every human you met, Petrov said, every trade deal you signed, every cultural exchange you approved, was part of the largest intelligence operation in galactic history. Our diplomats were recording your political weaknesses. Our traders were mapping your industrial capabilities. Our scientists were analyzing your technology. The doctor moved to a massive holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked human colonies and trade stations. Yellow lines connected them to alien worlds and military bases. You saw us spread across the galaxy and thought, we were exploring. Actually, we were positioning ourselves. Every human colony was placed to give us the best view of your activities. Every trade route was chosen to let us study your ships and weapons. Every research station was built to intercept your communications. On Zalani Prime, Ambassador Kethvar stared at his communication screen in shock. This had to be some kind of mistake. Humans were traders and farmers, not spies and soldiers. You are lying, he said to his aide. Check the records, verify what this human claims. But even as he spoke, he remembered small details. Human traders who asked too many questions about military bases. Human scientists who were very interested in shield technology and weapon designs. Human diplomats who seemed to know things they should not have known. Petrov continued his broadcast. For 50 years, you taught us everything. You showed us your weapons because you thought our own were too primitive to be dangerous. You explained your tactics because you assumed we could never use them against you. You trusted us with your secrets because you believed we were too weak to be a threat. The holographic display changed to show technical drawings and specifications, weapon designs from a dozen different species, ship blueprints from the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, military strategies from every major power. We learned from all of you, Petrov said. We took the best ideas from every species and combined them in ways you never thought possible. Korath armor with Etherian energy systems. Vex computer technology with Zalani hyperspace engines. Human innovation with alien knowledge. On the screen behind him, new images appeared. Massive shipyards hidden in asteroid fields. Manufacturing, facilities built inside moons and planets. Weapon testing ranges in the empty space between stars. While you thought we were peaceful traders, Petrov explained, we were building the most advanced military force the galaxy has ever seen. We used your own technology against you, improved with human engineering and powered by human determination. The camera showed him walking through a corridor lined with windows. Outside, enormous ships moved through space. They looked like nothing any alien species had ever built. Sleek and deadly, with weapons that seemed to bend light around them. These are the real human ships, Petrov said. Not the simple cargo vessels and colony transports you have seen. These were built in secret using everything we learned from you. They can phase through matter using Etherian technology. They can fire through shields using Vex quantum principles. They can appear and disappear using methods we developed by studying Wraith Raiders. The broadcast signal grew stronger, reaching even the most remote parts of the galaxy. On primitive worlds and advanced civilizations, beings watched in growing horror as they realized what had happened. You made a mistake, Petrov said, his voice growing harder. You judged us by our past instead of watching what we were becoming. You saw the wars we fought on Earth and assumed we had not learned from them. But humans are very good at learning from mistakes. He stopped walking and faced the camera directly. We learned that information is more valuable than territory. We learned that preparation is more important than strength. We learned that the best way to win a war is to make sure your enemy never sees it coming. The holographic display showed current military positions throughout the galaxy. Zalani fleets, surrounded by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. Korath battle groups cut off from their supply lines. Vex defensive networks being dismantled by invisible attackers. The galaxy wanted to enslave humanity, Petrov said. You thought we were animals that needed to be controlled. You forgot that humans conquered their own world first. We did not become peaceful because we were weak. We became peaceful because we chose to be. His voice grew colder. But you did not want our peace. You wanted our submission. So now you will have our war. The transmission began to end, but Petrov had one more thing to say. To the beings watching this broadcast, I offer you the same choice we offered the Galactic Council. You can surrender now and be treated fairly, or you can fight and learn why humans spent 50 years preparing for this moment. He looked into the camera one last time. Ambassador Vasquez warned you. She begged you to reconsider. She told you not to enrage us. You laughed at her warnings. The screen went dark for a moment. When it came back, Petrov was gone. In his place was a simple message in the common galactic language. You chose poorly. Across the galaxy, alien leaders stared at blank screens and tried to understand what had just happened. The species they had thought was weak and primitive had just revealed itself as the most dangerous force in known space. On Earth, Admiral Chen watched reports flooding in from human commanders throughout the galaxy. The revelation was complete. The galaxy now knew the truth about humanity, but knowing the truth and being able to stop what came next were two very different things. The real war was just beginning. The counterattack began at exactly the same moment across 47 star systems. Human ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields and nebulae suddenly appeared. What looked like simple cargo vessels opened their hulls to reveal weapons that should not have existed. General Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the warship Vengeful Earth as it dropped out of hyperspace above Kepler 442b. Around her planet, Zilani ships were still celebrating their easy victory over the human colonists. They had no idea what was coming. "All weapons online," reported her tactical officer. "Phantom drive ready for combat maneuvers." Santos nodded. The Phantom drive was humanity's greatest secret. Built using technology stolen from the Etherian collective, it let human ships phase through solid matter for short periods. No alien species knew humans possessed this capability. "Begin liberation protocol," Santos ordered. "Show them what happens when you attack human civilians." The Vengeful Earth phased through the hull of the largest Zilani battleship. While inside the enemy vessel, it fired quantum disruption charges that tore the ship apart from within. Then it phased back into normal space and moved to its next target. Commander Thekmol, who had barely survived the first human attack months ago, watched in horror as his reinforcement fleet was destroyed by impossible tactics. Human ships appeared. Inside Zilani vessels fired their weapons, then vanished like ghosts. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Our sensors show nothing until they attack." His science officer looked terrified. "Sir, they are using phase technology, but that is impossible. The Etherians guard that secret with their lives. How do humans have it?" Santos smiled as she listened to the alien communications. Her people had been intercepting Zilani transmissions. For months, she understood their language perfectly and knew their psychology. "Commander Thekmol," she said, broadcasting on their frequency. "This is General Santos of the Terran Defense Force. You are surrounded and outmatched. Surrender now and your crews will be treated with respect." "Never," Thekmol replied. "We are Zilani. We do not surrender to primitives." "Primitives?" Santos laughed. "Commander, you still do not understand what you are fighting. Let me show you." She gave a hand signal to her weapons officer. Around the planet, human ships began demonstrating technologies that no single species should have possessed. Energy shields that adapted to any attack. Weapons that fired through hyperspace. Fighters that moved faster than physics should have allowed. The truth was that humans had not just stolen alien technology. They had improved it by combining ideas from different species in ways that no one had thought possible. Korath armor powered by Etherian energy. Vex computers controlling Zilani hyperspace engines. Wraith stealth technology enhanced with human engineering. "Impossible," Thekmol whispered, as he watched human fighters dance between his weapons fire. "These ships are using technologies from 6 different species. How did they learn to combine them?" Santos answered his question. "Because humans are very good at learning, Commander. We studied every species in the galaxy. We took the best from each of you and made it better." The battle was over in 20 minutes. The entire Zilani fleet was either destroyed or captured. Not a single human ship was lost. On the planet's surface, Captain Martinez emerged from her bunker to find Zilani soldiers laying down their weapons. They looked confused and frightened. These were warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. Now they were surrendering to beings they had thought were primitive farmers. "Captain," said one of her sergeants, "what should we do with the prisoners?" Martinez remembered her training. Humans had studied alien psychology for 50 years. They knew exactly how to break enemy morale. "Treat them well," she said. "Give them food and medical care. Let them contact their families on Zilani Prime. Show them that humans are not the monsters their leaders claimed we were." This was part of the plan. Captured enemies who were treated fairly would spread stories about human mercy and strength. Their families would pressure Zilani leaders to end the war. Fear and respect together were more powerful than fear alone. But Santos had other plans for the Zilani commanders. As Thekmol's command ship was brought aboard a human carrier, she went to meet him personally. The Zilani commander was tall and proud, with silver skin and eyes that burned with anger. He expected to be tortured or killed. Instead, Santos offered him a chair and a cup of tea. "You are wondering why we are treating you well," Santos said in perfect Zilani. "Your people taught us that honor is important to your culture. We respect that." Thekmol stared at her. "You speak our language like you were born on our world. How is this possible?" "Because we have been studying your people for 50 years, Santos replied. "We know your history, your customs, your fears and your dreams. We know more about Zilani culture than most Zilani do. She activated a holographic display that showed detailed information about Zilani society. Military structures, political systems, economic networks, even family traditions. The data was more complete than anything in the Zilani government's own files. This is impossible, Thekmal said weakly. We are a closed society. We do not share our secrets with aliens. No, Santos agreed. But you did trade with us. You did allow us to visit your worlds. You did let our diplomats attend your cultural ceremonies. Every interaction was recorded and analyzed. Every conversation was studied. Every detail was catalogued. She leaned forward. Commander, your people made a terrible mistake. You thought humans were simple because we came from one small world. You forgot that we conquered that world first. Do you know what it takes to unite an entire planet under one government? Thekmal shook his head. It takes the ability to understand and defeat every different culture and military force on that world, Santos explained. Humans did not become peaceful because we were weak. We became peaceful because we had already proven we were the strongest species on our planet. She stood and walked to a window that showed the wreckage of his fleet. Your leaders thought they could enslave us because our ships looked old, and our weapons seemed simple. They never asked why a species capable of interstellar travel would choose to appear weak. Because you were planning this from the beginning, Thekmal realized. From the very beginning, Santos confirmed. The moment humans entered galactic civilization, we began preparing for the day someone would try to conquer us. We knew it would happen eventually. History taught us that peaceful species always become targets for aggressive ones. She turned, back to face him. So we made a choice. We would be peaceful as long as possible, but we would be ready for war when peace failed. We spent 50 years turning our entire species into a military force that no one would see coming. The holographic display changed to show human fleets moving throughout the galaxy, not just the ships attacking Zilani forces, but thousands of others emerging from hidden bases and secret shipyards. Every human colony was a military outpost, Santos continued. Every trade mission was a reconnaissance operation. Every diplomat was an intelligence officer. Every scientist was a weapons researcher. We turned our entire civilization into a war machine disguised as a peaceful trading culture. Thekmal looked at the display showing human ships surrounding every major alien world. The scale of the deception was impossible to believe. Your people had a choice, Santos said. Ambassador Vasquez begged the Galactic Council to leave us, alone. She warned them what would happen if they tried to enslave us. They laughed at her. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. No one is laughing now. Outside the ship, more reports came in from across the galaxy. Human forces were attacking Zilani bases and fleets everywhere at once. But they were not just fighting the Zilani. The Korath Dominion had tried to take advantage of the chaos to attack human colonies. Their fleets were being systematically destroyed by weapons they could not understand. The Vex Collective, confident in their superior technology, had sent their most advanced ships to assist in controlling the humans. Those ships were now floating debris, torn apart by human vessels that moved faster and hit harder than anything the Vex had ever seen. Santos received a communication from Admiral Chen on Earth. General, Phase 1 is complete. All human colonies have been liberated. Enemy fleets in human space have been eliminated or captured. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2. Santos smiled as she thought about what came next. The galaxy had wanted to see what humans could do when they were angry. Now they would learn what humans could do when they were truly at war. Understood, Admiral, she replied. Beginning, liberation of non-human populations oppressed by Zilani occupation. It is time to show the galaxy what human justice looks like. The war machine that humanity had spent 50 years building was fully awake now. And it was hungry. 6 months after the war began, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The great chamber that had once held thousands of proud delegates now felt empty and cold. Many seats were vacant. The Zilani Empire no longer existed. The Korath Dominion had surrendered after their homeworld was surrounded by human fleets. The Vex Collective had lasted only 3 weeks against human cyber warfare that turned their own technology against them. Speaker Vorth, his stone-like skin now cracked, with stress lines, called the session to order. His forearms trembled as he spoke. The Council recognizes the gravity of our situation. The human military advance has been unprecedented. In the center of the chamber, a holographic display showed the current state of the galaxy. Blue areas marked human-controlled space. Red showed regions still under alien control. The blue was spreading like a slow flood. consuming everything in its path. "They are not just conquering us," said the representative from the Etherian collective. Her energy form flickered with fear. "They are liberating every species we had subdued, every world we controlled. They are turning our own subjects against us." This was true. Human forces were not just attacking military targets. They were freeing slave populations and oppressed colonies throughout the galaxy. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were joining human fleets eager for revenge against their former masters. The chamber doors opened with their familiar rumble. Every being present turned to watch as a single human walked inside. She wore the same blue uniform she had worn months ago, but now it carried new symbols of rank and authority. Ambassador Elena Vasquez had returned, but she was no longer representing a weak species begging for peace. She walked with the confidence of someone whose warnings had proven correct. Behind her, floating holographic displays showed the locations of human fleets positioned around every major alien world in the galaxy. Elena reached the center platform and looked up at the remaining delegates. Many were the same beings who had laughed at her warning months ago. Now they watched her with fear and desperate hope. "Honored delegates," Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I have returned as requested to discuss terms for ending this conflict." Speaker Vorth leaned forward. "Ambassador, we, the Council, wishes to express our regret for the misunderstanding that led to this situation. Perhaps we can negotiate a return to peaceful relations." Elena smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Misunderstanding? Is that what you call voting to enslave my people? Is that your word for laughing at my warnings?" She activated a control device, and the holographic displays changed to show battle footage from the past 6 months. Alien fleets being destroyed by weapons they could not comprehend. Human soldiers liberating concentration camps and slave colonies. Entire civilizations surrendering rather than face humanity's military power. "You had 50 years to know us as friends," Elena continued. "You chose to know us as enemies instead. Now you have learned what human friendship was worth." The Wraith delegate, a being of living shadow, spoke with a voice like winter wind. "We acknowledge our error in judgment. What does humanity require? For peace?" Elena looked around the chamber. So many empty seats. So many proud species reduced to begging for mercy from the primitives they had dismissed. "The Terran hegemony has simple requirements," she said. "Complete dismantling of all slave systems. Freedom for all oppressed populations. Reparations to species damaged by galactic powers. And acceptance of human oversight to ensure these conditions are maintained." "Human oversight?" The crystalline delegate's voice rang like breaking glass. "You mean human rule." "I mean human protection," Elena corrected. "For 50 years this galaxy was ruled by species that conquered others and claimed it was for their own good. That era is over." She gestured to the holographic displays showing human fleets. "These ships are not here to conquer you. They are here to ensure that no one else gets conquered. The age of galactic empires built on slavery and oppression ends today." A delegate from the Hive worlds raised multiple arms in protest. "But our entire civilization is based on hierarchical species integration. You cannot change thousands of years of culture overnight. Your culture was built on making other species into slaves," Elena replied coldly. "Yes, we can change that. We will change that. The question is whether you help us do it peacefully, or force us to do it through war." Speaker Vorth made a sound, like grinding stone. "What if we refuse these terms?" Elena's smile disappeared. "Then you will learn what humans are really capable of when we stop holding back." The holographic displays changed again. This time they showed human shipyards and manufacturing facilities that had been hidden throughout the galaxy for decades. The scale was enormous. Thousands of ships under construction. Weapons that made the ones used in the current war look like toys. "What you have seen so far is just the beginning," Elena explained. "The fleets currently ending your empires are our first-generation warships. We have been building second- and third-generation vessels for 20 years. You do not want to see what those can do." The chamber fell silent. The remaining delegates stared at the impossible numbers on the displays. Humanity had not just prepared for war. They had prepared to fight every species in the galaxy at the same time. "How?" whispered the Etherian representative. "How did you hide so much from us?" "Because you never really saw us," Elena answered. "You saw what you expected to see. Primitive humans with simple technology and peaceful intentions. You never looked deeper because you assumed there was nothing deeper to find." She walked closer to the delegates. her voice growing stronger. You made the same mistake that humans made on our own world thousands of years ago. You judged people by how they appeared instead of what they were capable of. You confused peaceful with weak. The holographic displays showed more battle footage, but this time it was different. Instead of human ships destroying alien fleets, it showed human soldiers helping alien civilians. Medical aid being provided to former enemies. Food being distributed to populations that had been starving under their own government's rule. Humans learned something from our violent history that you never did, Elena continued. We learned that the strongest military force means nothing if people do not want to follow you. So we do not conquer worlds, we liberate them. And if we agree to your terms, asked Speaker Vorth, then you will find that humans make better friends than enemies, Elena replied. We will help rebuild the civilizations that this war has damaged. We will share our technology to improve life throughout the galaxy. We will protect smaller species from being conquered or enslaved. She paused, looking around the chamber one more time. But we will never again allow galactic civilization to be ruled by predators who feed on the weak. That age is over. The vote was unanimous. Every remaining delegate accepted humanity's terms. They had no choice. As the session ended, and aliens filed out of the chamber, Elena stood alone in the center platform. She thought about the day months ago when she had begged these same beings to reconsider their actions. She had warned them what would happen if they tried to enslave humanity. Her communicator chimed. Admiral Chen's voice came through from Earth. Ambassador, this is Control. All major alien fleets have surrendered or been neutralized. Galactic civilization is now under Terran protection. What are your orders? Elena looked up at the empty seats that had once held the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Begin Phase 3, Admiral. It is time to show the galaxy what human peace looks like. Understood. And Elena? Yes, Admiral? You warned them. You gave them every chance to choose differently. What happened was their choice, not ours. Elena nodded, though Chen could not see her. I know. But I am still sorry it came to this. So are we all. But sometimes the only way to achieve peace is to prove that the cost of war is too high for anyone to pay. Elena turned and walked toward the chamber doors. Outside, human ships were beginning the long process of rebuilding galactic civilization. Not as conquerors, but as protectors of the peace they had been forced to win through war. The universe had ignored one human warning. Now it would live under human protection whether it wanted to or not. Some choices once made could never be undone. As Elena reached the doors, she spoke once more into her communicator. Admiral, make sure our people remember this day. Make sure they remember what happens when peaceful species are pushed too far, and make sure they remember that our strength exists to protect others, not to rule them. Understood, Ambassador. Welcome to the new galaxy. Elena walked through the doors and into the corridor beyond. Behind her, the empty chamber stood as a monument to the civilization that had chosen poorly. Ahead of her lay the responsibility of building something better. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of human guardianship had begun, and it was too late for anyone to change their minds.